everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It is Pinky here today, and we are moving on with the Timeless collection, or Legacy, Timeless Legacy collection from Elorea, yes. So, we're going to be moving on to the second scent of the 4 in the collection. So let's see which one it is. Okay, so it looks like the next one is Hanok, which is right here. This will be $155 for the 50 milliliters and $230 for the 100. So it seems like this collection is a little bit more expensive than the other two. And basically, Hanok is inspired by the architectural term describing a traditional Korean house uniquely designed to harmonize with the surrounding nature. The woody scent begins with the freshness of the majestic Korean pine trees, delicate balance with notes of magnolia and freesia. Lovely. Then it settles into deep smoky wood and the scent of traditional Korean paper, hanji. Incense evokes the serene image of a Hanok nestled amid lush green mountains. So sounds lovely. So the top notes are Korean pine, juniper, bergamot, ivy, heart, magnolia, freesia, mimosa. I don't know what I was combining those with. And the base is smoked aged wood, upcycled cedar wood, hanji, and incense. And again, this features the VivaSense, a fragrance technology designed and backed by neuroscience to support well-being of enhancing mood and reducing stress. Interesting. I mean, I am not a scientist, so I am not going to argue it. So there you go. Who am I to say? Who am I? So we're going to do 2 here and 2 here. And straight off the bat, that is lovely. So it's interesting when, I know, like, look at my cat. Wow. It's interesting because when I first sprayed it, it almost had a light fruitiness to it, but I think honestly that's just the cedar. Definitely getting cedar. It's very woodsy. Yeah, this is very woodsy, but in a very light way. Like normally with pine, I expect it to be very, and it's not. No. And I know the pine note pretty well. This is very light. It's almost like a cedar. Yeah. It's interesting, and it has like a smokiness to it and a slight incense. Not an overwhelming incense. Sometimes incense can really overtake. It can really overtake a fragrance, but it's very light with this. And the pine is very light. This isn't like a strong pine note. Very interesting. I'm really getting like cedar. Yeah, they're just saying smoked aged wood, which I get, but to me it smells like cedar. So I get this smoked wood. To me it smells like cedar, but like I said, I'm not I'm not an expert. So you get that smokiness of this beautiful light sweet kind of wood, and that's why I think of it when I think of that, when I think of cedar, because that's what it smells like to me. And a slight tiny bit inkling of incense. Oh, this one's just really nice. It does smell like a wooden home. Yeah, it does. It smells, if you've ever been into like a wooden structure, it has a very similar scent to this. That's very interesting that they were able to capture that. It's interesting because it smells so familiar. And I think most people would find this scent to be extremely familiar because of that wood note. Yeah, it's even more so here. That's glorious. Wow, that's really just beautiful and not something I really expected. Wow, it's very light. What I will say is, with pine, you expect it to be a strong scent, like a really strong scent. This is not the case with that. With this one, it's not like that. It stays here. And it may project a little bit more, but because it's so light and floaty, even for wood, even with the smoke and the incense and the wood of it, it still is very light. The incense is never too heavy, but part of it is it's the base note, so it may have not fully formed yet. Wood can sometimes be really heavy. Smoke can definitely be very heavy. But with this, no, it's very light and uplifting. It's almost like you're standing away from a structure and a light wind comes through and you get the scent from that light wind. That's what this is like. It's quite lovely. Like somebody's burning something, some wood, and like a pit fire maybe, and then you get that along with, it's a newly built structure and you're walking past and the wind just hits right and then you smell this. This is exactly what this is. This is really unique, actually. I like this, but let's try it on the clothing. Okay, on the clothing, I definitely get more of the pine. So the pine is coming through more mixed with that smoked wood. That is just lovely. I'm not getting the floral. It's saying that there's floral in this, and I am not getting any hint of that, but that could change because there are the heart notes, the magnolia and freesia. So right now it's just so, yeah, you do get that. Oh, there is cedar wood. I just saw it. Okay. When I read these, like I said, I rattle them off. I don't think about them. So there is cedar wood. I was like, yeah, I smelled the cedar wood. It's sad that I know that scent. It's not sad. I just know that scent really well. But yeah, I do definitely get a little bit of that juniper and bergamot when I see the notes. It's just that's not the main focus of this scent. You know, it's light. It was the initial spray and it's still a little bit there, but it's not the main focal point, if that makes sense. But wow, this is really glorious, but this is very, very light. So this would be a beautiful, actually now I'm more aware of that juniper now that I'm thinking about it. Now that I saw the note, I definitely get that. The bergamot was fleeting, but it wasn't like, the thing is, I'm not a huge fan of bergamot. I'm not against it. It's just, and they really are great at using it here. But I'm definitely getting that juniper. I'm getting a little bit of zoologist penguin from that note. But, oh, that's interesting. This one's really interesting. I'm curious to see where it morphs. Because it's very light, so I'm hoping it stays. But it's really beautiful and gentle, but really homey and reminiscent of something I know. It's very gentle. It's very beautiful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check back in an hour with this one because I'm really curious to see where it goes. This one's really actually kind of cool. So I'm going to check back in an hour. Okay, so it has been an hour and this one really doesn't morph too much, which isn't a bad thing because the initial scent is fantastic. So still getting a lot of that cedar, strong cedar scent. And what's happening is there's an incense creeping up. But what's interesting is that this isn't like a normal kind of incense that I would smell, say, in a Gothic church, because I love Gothic churches. It's not like that. It has a different type of incense smell to it. And it is similar to that, but it's smokier. You know what it is when I was in Japan, you could walk around, I think it was Fushimi Inari? I hope I'm saying that right. It's been a while. But there would be areas where there would be incense lit in certain areas of Japan where there were temples and things. And it's very similar to this scent profile, actually, that type of incense, which does to me have a different scent than perhaps something from a Gothic church. So it's interesting because it's almost like that type of incense along with cedar and almost like, this is so strange, but almost like burning paper. So like you have this incense and you're almost like taking something and lighting it on fire with the incense, which I don't even know if you could really do. I think you can because you could do it with candles. But it's almost that type of a thing. It's like cedar, and I still do get a little bit of that juniper. Just a little bit of juniper to sweeten this one up. So it's like a sweet paper juniper, strong cedar, with just a hint of pine in the middle, kind of sandwiched. So you had the lighter, sweeter part of the juniper and the paper with the heavier cedar scent, and in between is that beautiful, just slight pine. And sometimes pine can really overtake a fragrance, but with this one, ooh, bless you. But with this one, it doesn't. The pine doesn't overwhelm the scent. It actually really kind of mixes it together in a really beautiful way. The first two sets were fantastic. They really were. I love them. But what I like so far about these scents is I feel that it really does represent Korea in a lot of ways. Like, I could imagine running into the last two scents in Korea. Not that you couldn't with the other ones. I feel like they were beautiful. And, you know, hazy blue, let me tell you. But it's just, for some reason, especially this one, is just so special. It's just so special. I don't know. I feel like it just really grasps the whole Korean, you know, kind of scent profile. It grabs that. It achieves what it was set out to do. And this one's really beautiful. And it's still pretty good. It's right around here. But again, this one, considering it has cedar and pine in it, is not that strong. So it stays around here. It has good projection, but it never is intrusive in any way. It's really quite beautiful. I could see wearing this in late summer and fall. Gosh, this is nice. So I'm curious to see how long it lasts. So I'm going to check back in 4 hours. I'm enjoying myself with this one. This isn't normally a scent profile I would go for, and yet this is really intoxicating in its own way. You know, there you go, without the hangover. So there you go. So I'm going to check back in 4 hours. Okay, so it has been 5 hours, yes. And I can definitely still smell Hanok here. Now, it's definitely not as strong, I would say, like with most of the Elorea collection. Your best bet is to freshen it up around 3 or 4 hours. This one lasted a little bit longer, I would say 4. But if you want that beautiful cedar, juniper, smoky scent, then you need to spray it just a little bit more, just to give it a little bit of a boost and go about your day. But I can definitely still smell it. It's just more of a personal scent, and that's okay too, you know. And then that's what I say. This brand is more about, I don't know. It's never intrusive, if that makes sense. That's not the purpose of these. I think it's very much to, you know, keep it a very personal, safe scent. This is something, you know, I feel like all of these scents, for the most part, could be worn to work, you know, wherever you go, the theater, wherever you go, and nobody would be going. So there you go. And that's Elorea. And I think it's a wonderful place to be. So there you go. Not everything has to be crazy, and there's a time and place. And some people just are really sensitive to scents and don't want that kind of attention. They just want it for them. And that's fantastic. So I think Elorea, it could be the house for you. But this one is very gentle. And what's interesting is that I can smell whiffs of it, and it's very much like a sweet cedar. And cedar in itself is sweet, but it's that juniper that just kicks it up a notch and just makes it that little bit of sweetness to it, which is quite beautiful. But let's see where it's at on the skin. Yeah, that cedar's coming through. Very interesting. That sweet cedar. So it's that juniper with the beautiful cedar. So it's very sweet, very woody. I really like that. That's quite nice. But let's try it on the clothing. Okay, so on the clothing, it definitely has a pine with cedar. And it still has that smoky cedar. So the smoky kind of paper and cedar and pine with just a hint of incense. While the incense definitely is still here. So you definitely get that incense, but it's very much a sweet cedar incense. So the incense is the biggest smell at this point, but then you have the cedar mixed with the juniper, at least on my chemistry. That may not happen with you. Here it's more cedar and juniper and that smokiness. So, or I'm sorry, not the juniper, the fir. So it's basically the pine tree. Yeah, the pine tree with the cedar going on and that incense. So it's not as sweet on the clothing as it is on my chemistry, which is interesting. So there you go. But this one doesn't really change a lot. So if you like cedar scents, if you like smoky incense scents, that's what you're mostly going to get with this, with a little bit of sweetness of the juniper. But that was on my chemistry mostly, but it does show up initially. The thing is, it says it has florals in it. I never really got those florals. They never came through in the clothing or on my skin. So they may have just been there, a little bit of a hint to give it a boost, but they never really appeared for me. So that's kind of interesting, because like one of them was magnolia, and I love magnolia, but no magnolia. So it's not that I'm disappointed, actually. I like where this one went. It's almost like incense on an altar in a wooden building, and with a little bit of sweet juniper nearby. But again, that's more my chemistry. But that incense is quite lovely. It's just it's a little bit of an enchanting little scent, actually. I like that smoked wood and the incense and the sweetness of it. It's just beautiful. This one's just beautiful. Now, I do think some people may, if you want to categorize things, put this as more masculine. I can see why people would think that, especially when it comes to maybe cedar and the incense and the just the structure of the fragrance. But for me, honestly, I would wear the heck out of this. So I think it's beautiful. I think it's absolutely beautiful. So, but I don't, if I like something, I wear it. I don't care if it's deemed masculine or feminine. I just wear whatever the heck I want. So there you go. You should too. If you like it, wear it. Life's too short. So there you go. But this one's really beautiful. It really was kind of unexpected. It really was not what I was expecting at all. Like, at all. This completely went in a direction that I'm still kind of surprised by, but it's not normally a profile that I would ever wear. But this is why I love trying out things that I don't necessarily know that well, because I'm like, oh wow, this is really, really nice. So I'm like, I like this one a lot. So if I were going to rank this one, I think I would give it an 8 out of 10. I really do. I think it's a very solid scent. It's beautiful. I don't know if I'd own a whole bottle of it. It's fantastic. But I don't know if I'd gravitate towards the scent as often as other ones, just because of what I like. It's not because it did anything wrong. We all have our preferences, so take that into consideration. If you like cedar, smoky, incense scents, you may want to get a sample of this and check it out, because that may work for you. I'm normally like a gourmand, vanilla, amber, sandalwood type person. I love those sweet scents. I don't know. It's just, that's just what I like. Vanilla, sweet florals, that's more me. This is gorgeous. I love it. So I love kind of going out of my comfort zone and going, okay, this is fantastic. And it is fantastic. So strong 8 out of 10. I would definitely, I don't know if they have travel sizes at Elorea, to be honest with you. I will check, but I don't know. But if they had a travel size, I would definitely think about getting one of those, because I think that would do me. I think that I'd be going, okay, because this one does deserve a second look and to be tried a couple times a year to relive this, because it's absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, big thumbs up. Big thumbs up. So we just have 2 fragrances left, and then we'll move on to our next adventure. But I'm excited, especially after this one. I'm curious to see where this one goes. The Timeless Legacy is pretty amazing, and so I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm pretty impressed thus far. So yeah. And with that, if you are not here for the cultural note, have a fabulous day, my friends. Bye. Okay, so I think this is number 10. Yeah, experience number 10. We're getting to the end. Oh my goodness. I know I could talk about Korea forever, or maybe I need to go back and do another top 12, but I would love to. So this had to happen. We have to talk about this. We need to. If you are in Korea, you have to experience the wonderful history of the palaces. You have to experience the palaces. Of course, there are many in Seoul, and the one that I would say to really make sure that you see is, I hope I say this right, Gyeongbokgung? No, Gyeongbokgung, I think it is. So yeah, this one is more impressive because of the way it looks. It doesn't have as much historical significance from my understanding, but it has the changing of the guards, and it is the most beautiful. It's big, it is beautiful, it is gorgeous and worth seeing. Now I think there's like 5 main ones. I could be wrong. I really could be really wrong with this, but I think I saw all of them. And there's a couple that are smaller and don't get as much attention. So if you want to be able to explore the grounds a little bit more with less people, look into the smaller ones. But you know, if you go to Gyeongbokgung, it is going to be busy. It is probably the busiest because it is the largest, it is the most ornate, but it's just beautiful. They're all beautiful. I love the architecture. There's the purpose for the architecture. You can read about it there and the history of what was going on during the time that these were used. They're beautiful green and orange, and you will see that all over the palaces, and you can see the beautiful designs in the rafters and things, and they all represent something. And you can see tours. So just know that there aren't as many English tours as other ones like Japanese or Korean, maybe even Chinese. I don't remember. This may have changed a bit since I've been, but for the most part there weren't a lot of English speaking ones, but they were crowded because basically anyone from Europe or, you know, any countries that, or anyone who spoke English but didn't speak Korean would join the English one. And so it was a little bit more international, which was really cool. And so you could go with the guide who would tell you the history. A lot of them would be dressed in the hanbok or more traditional clothing and tell you about the history and walk you around the grounds. Now, some places you are free to enter and some places you are not. So just be wary of that. Especially, just a lot of it's closed off. And I understand it. They don't want to put guards everywhere, and they want to keep it, they want to upkeep it. They don't want it to be destroyed. But you really have to go to the palaces. You really do. It's really cool because you're in modern Seoul, and Seoul is like incredible. So modern, skyscrapers, and then here's this crazy palace. And it's not crazy, but this beautiful palace right among these buildings. And it's like so interesting to see the history of these beautiful palaces of the past, and you can imagine what it was like to live there, and then you have modern surrounding them. It's just wild. It is such a wild experience. But I would spend a day going through and maybe seeing one in the morning or in the afternoon before dinner. You know, they do close earlier. I mean, they're not going to be like open till 9. This isn't a Noribang. So but you know, they'll stay all night, but you know, it's not like that. So just know that it's something you'll probably want to do in the early morning or in the afternoon. But if you were an English speaker, which I assume most people who are watching this, you know, have a great grasp of English, then you're going to want to join that group. But there's only usually 1 or 2 in comparison to a bunch of other ones that are for locals or for people more in that region, you know, Japanese or Chinese. So it just depends. But there's definitely something for you to learn, and you will learn a lot of history. And the best part is just walking through and escaping the craziness of Seoul. Well, it's a different craziness because there's a lot of tourists there. But, you know, going back in time a little bit and seeing what it would be like. It's quite enjoyable, quite relaxing once you move away from the crowd. So go find the smaller ones. There you go. So there you have it. And with that, have a fabulous day, my friends. Bye.